حي على الفلاح.
When does a person engage in becoming from those who engage in humas and those who engage in lumas? This speaking ill of other people to their face or behind their back. When does it become, and obviously Allah is talking about people who do this a lot, right? Who are habitual at it and do it quite a bit. When does this become part of someone's personality even? It's just what they do. This becomes their personality trait when they have nothing better to think about, when they have no better preoccupation in their life. There's no higher purpose in their life, so they have to find their purpose elsewhere. You know what happens a lot of times, and there are even entire like novels and TV shows, and entire like genre of literature dedicated to this. When people have nothing better to do, they end up being overly concerned with each other. Now, as actually Imam Razi put it, is two interesting comments. One of them, that the Muslims have fallen into a deteriorated culture, where three of them or four of, let's say four people, Muslims, are having lunch together. They're talking about the fifth one who's not here. And they're going off, because he didn't show up for lunch, they figure this is the time to just go off on the guy and just rip him to shreds, right? And then one of the four, says, oh, I gotta go. I have a meeting. So he goes, now there are three left. Guess what those three are gonna do now? They start on number four. Yeah, he's a good guy, but let me tell you. And then they start on him. And even worse sometimes, he doesn't even have to leave for you, the three of you, to gang up on him on the dinner table and humiliate him among you. And you say, we're just kidding. You get it. We're just kidding, right? We're just kidding. And this idea of it's not a big deal of humiliating someone because it's just among friends. Well, who's going to do that? Enemies are not going to do that. And you're not going to have that done to you like at the train station or at the office. It's really going to happen to you among friends. This is where it happens, and it happens a lot. The Mufassir comments, he says, all of this is included in Allah's scolding and what Allah forbade. In other words, Allah said two things, humaza and lumaza, just two things. But then the Mufassirun made a whole long list of what kind of people would fit under this description. This is not just two people, these are many, many behaviors that are captured inside two words. And at the end of that paragraph, he basically says, for example, in Tafsir Kabir, he says, Fakhruddin al-Razi says, Kullu dhalika dakhil. All of that, all of the things I have described to you, actually when I was reading it, he had like 4 pages on it. Just 4 pages on the kinds of behavior that is included inside humaza and lumaza. That one, did you know what they did, or what kind of car they drive, or I heard this happened or that happened, and constant gossiping among neighbors, among, or people within the same social circle. Did you see what she was wearing that other day? Oh my God. Where did they buy their clothes from? This kind of unnecessary talk is considered included in humas and lumas. And when does this talk happen again? When a person isn't concerned with higher things, then their mind has to be filled with other concerns. Actually, I think it's Mufti Muhammad Shafi, he quoted an Urdu poem in describing this attitude of a person of weak character who fails to see their own weakness, and the only way they can find to cover their own weakness is to constantly find weakness in others. That's the best way they can cover up their own weakness. So he wrote, I'm just going to cite one part of the Urdu poem, don't get too happy. Auron ki azmat kya jane, kam zarf jo insa hote hain. What that basically means is how those who are low of character themselves, how can they ever appreciate the goodness of others? All they see in others are flaws. When a person, all they see in others is flaws, either to their face or behind their back, you know what that means? They themselves are of a low character. They don't see the good in people, they only see the flaws in people. And that doesn't speak of the other more than it does of their own selves. May Allah protect us from such attitudes. We'll go straight to the comments of a great linguistic mufassir, Az-Zamakhshari, who wrote the book Al-Kashaf. He says, Al-Humaz al-Kasr. Kasr in Arabic is used for fracturing something, or breaking something, or cracking something, or tearing something apart. And it's used in literature to talk about when one person speaks to another in a way that they're attempting to break them, not physically, but psychologically. They're trying to break their dignity, or fracture their sense of self-worth, that sort of thing. And this is the word used linguistically to describe the attitude of humaz. And he says, lumaz at-ta'an. Lumaz is basically sarcastic tone, sarcasm against someone else. And by the way, sarcasm is important important to understand because sarcasm can be a compliment, but meant as an insult. So you could say to someone, you're such a genius. But what you're really saying is you're so stupid, right? And you can and you say, why would you talk to me like that? No, I'm saying you're a genius, right? And so they feel like, no, they didn't do anything wrong and they can cover their tracks. But really Allah Azza wa Jalla knows what was meant by them when they said it. And more often than not, the person they are insulting or being sarcastic against also knows. And it's also recorded in their heart. وَنَحْوُهُمَا, and something very similar for you to understand, al-la'na wal-dhahika, meaning cursing someone and laughing at someone, would be included according to Zamakhshari inside humaza. Cursing someone, meaning using foul language against someone, that's al-la'na, or literally cursing them, like making dua against them, that sort of thing. And secondly, al-dhahika, which is to laugh at them, to poke fun at them, and to use a condescending tone. Now, smiling at someone is different, and laughing at someone is different. And I think we're smart enough to know the difference, And a lot of times, what the really expert criminal mind does? They laugh at someone, and then when the person's insulted, you say, "Wow, you don't want me to smile? What's the matter? Do you have something against happiness?" So they have this attitude where they think they can get away with it simply because, they're playing a smart card. So now the comment to understand here is when someone is insulted and they make wail against the person who offended them. But in this surah, that person is not crying wail. Who's actually saying wail? Allah is. Meaning instead of the makroob, instead of the one who has been anguished using the word wail, Allah comes to his defense. And Allah curses the person who had offended him. SubhanAllah. This is a very serious thing. Who are these people that Allah condemns with wail? Humul masha'una bin namima, Ibn Abbas says. These are the people who walk around, informing and tattling and, ratting out people constantly. And constantly, going around and doing so. Al-mufarriquna bayna al-ahibbah. These are people that cause division between those who love each other. An-na'ituna lin-nas bil-aib. Those who are constantly describing people with flaws. The way they call people and talk about people. Oh, you're talking about that short guy over there? Oh yeah, him, yeah. I mean, the words they use are constantly describing people in a condescending tone. Oh, you're talking about that really annoying one? Yes, I know him. Right? That's how they talk about people. Na'ituna lil-aib. Constantly describing people with flaws. This is again the description of Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ جَمِيعَ هَذِهِ الْوُجُوهِ مُتَقَارِبَةً. This is Razi's commentary. Know that all of these facets, all of these different descriptions that are being offered are very close to one another. راجعة إلى أصل واحد. They all come back to one essential concept. وهو الطعن, and that's condescending sarcasm. وإظهار العيب, and to expose somebody's flaws. ثم هذا على قسمين. And thereafter you should know that this happens in two ways. فإنه إما أن يكون بالجد. It can happen by an actual effort, meaning somebody's actually spending time and making a proper, exhausting their mental capacity in doing so. كما يكون عند الحسد والحقد. The way it happens in jealousy, hasad, the jealousy that is meant to harm someone, and also haqad, which is animosity. وإما أن يكون بالهزل. And it can also happen playfully. In other words, a person doesn't actually have evil intent to become hammaz and lamaz, as you will, or humaza or lumaza, but they just do it kind of jokingly, haphazardly, casually. كما يكون عند السخرية والإضحاك, as it happens when you're just making jokes or laughing around. إما أن يكون في أمر يتعلق بالدين. He says another way of looking at it is, it can happen in any matter that has to do with the religion. In other words, you're poking fun at somebody's religious behavior, religious appearance, religious knowledge, etc., etc. And one of the side things to note, the scholars comment on this very sensitively. Like, nowadays it's become, we're living in strange times. The vast majority of Muslims don't act or look very Muslim at all. So those that are trying to hold on to even some remnant of the religion, maybe in their appearance, in their speech, in their social circles, etc., etc., if they even show some reflection of religion, you automatically become the object of ridicule within certain Muslim circles. You are the object of ridicule, not by those who disbelieve, but by those who apparently believe. And when that happens, when somebody, for example, casually says, "Oh, that guy with the extra long beard," and then somebody making fun of somebody's beard, or somebody's making fun of somebody's hijab or jilbab or something like that. Understand that when you're making fun of someone's beard, you are making fun not of the beard, but of something that mimics the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's not a light matter. That person is not growing a beard because, it's a fashion statement. This is him or her. This person is trying to mimic the Messenger of Allah. When you mimic or ridicule someone who's wearing a hijab, then that is not a person, because they come from a certain country or they're trying to show off their religiosity. We assume that they're doing so because Allah commanded as such. We assume that. We assume that they're following the spirit of, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. When the ayat came down, she was in the kitchen and she was cooking. And she heard the messenger walking towards the house, and through the window she heard the ayat of hijab come down, and she tore her apron off and covered her head right away. Right? And it's that spirit that these people are following. So making fun of that it's the same as Ummahatul Mu'mineen.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. If you enjoyed this video, please do share it with friends and family. If you want to see more videos from this series, click on the box at the top. If you want to see other videos, click on the box at the bottom. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks.